Hey, everybody, this is Brad Alexander with the Alexander Home Team, Keller Williams. And today's topic is 2021 real estate forecast. Is a crash coming? First of all, I want to let y'all know that, first of all, I am not an economic expert. Um, I'm not very good in math. But what I have done for the last 3 to 4 months is I've been preparing for this Facebook Live and put quite a bit of time and effort and research into it to really be able to give y'all as much good information. It may not be the information that you want to hear, but correct information. So remember, when we talk about the word forecast, remember the weather forecast guy that comes on your TV every night at 6 o'clock and 10 o'clock, if he's close, he's good. So remember, this is a forecast. All right. I'm not saying this is going to happen or something else is going to happen. What I'm telling you is, as of the data we have today, here's what we think is going to happen in the future. And who have I got some of this data from? Tom Ferry, great real estate coach. He did a webinar with about 4 or 5 leading people in the real estate industry, and a lot of this information from them. I study a lot of Dave Ramsey. All right, I study a lot of John Maxwell. So basically, telling you, I've done some homework. I've got an opinion. It's just my opinion. It's a forecast. So let's get to it. Will 2018, will 2021 be 2008? Meaning, will there be a crash? My answer to you is no. All right. But before we tell you no, we have to go back to 1999-ish. All right. And try to figure out why the 2008 crash happened. All right. And there's some really data out there that tells us why 2008 crash happened, and it takes us back to the late 1990s. In the late 1990s, our government, the White House, and the Senate, and Congress, and all those people, they decided that our country, for the history of our country had a 68% home ownership. All right, for the history of our country, 68% of everyone owned house. So that gives us 32% of people that were renters or homeless. All right. Our government in the late 1990s decided they wanted to take that number, 68%, and move it up to 72%. All right. Great. I think I would love to see that now, except there was a backlash. You see, in order to get 4% of the U.S. population into home ownership, we had to decrease the loan approval process. All right. So from the time period of around 2005, 2004, 2005, 6, because the crash happened in 8, right? So leading up to the crash, the banks were lending to people who, quite honestly, not everyone, so not everybody who bought a house in that time, but the underwriting process was not nearly what it is today. All right. So there was a large number of people in 2000, let's say 2 to 2006 or 7, that were called. I mean, I've heard stories, and I don't know this to be true or not. This is one thing, but I've heard that you called up a bank, told them how much money you made, told them what you, how many payments you had a month, and they basically pre-approved you for a loan. And so in 2008, we had a very high supply of foreclosure houses, a very high supply of houses on the market. I took advantage of that market. Stephanie and I bought a house in 2008. We bought that house for $149,000. The people who bought it before us in 2005 bought that house for $179,000. That house was at a $30,000 discount. We bought it at a $30,000 discount. So Our government decided they wanted home ownership to go from 68% to 72%. That meant that we had a large number of people in 2008 that did not quite meet the requirements that they needed to meet for home ownership. And therefore, we had the 2008 crash. So so you're saying, but Brad, we've got, you turn on the news every day and you hear about how bad it is economically out there. Well, if you study the economic people in our country, there are certain groups that are being hit hard. The rest of the country is not being hit that hard financially right now. I'm not talking about health. I'm talking about any of that stuff. I'm talking about being able to buy a house and make payments on the house. So there are the hotel industry that just popped in my head. That industry has been hit hard. All right. The real estate industry has not been hit hard. All right. So different groups within our country have been hit hard. All right. Where in 2008, it was pretty widespread. Okay. So today, if somebody in a industry has been laid off and now they're talking about selling a house, the difference between 2008 and 2021 is we don't think the numbers are going to be quite as high, which means that the supply is not going to be that much higher. With that being said, everything that's telling us is, yes, we think there will be more foreclosures in 2021 than there were in 2020. All right, I'll give you that one. But there's not going to be such a high number that foreclosures are going to be sold at a discount. Everybody that I've studied, everything that I've seen says that if there are foreclosures in 2021, they will be going for market value. All right. So what do we forecast for 2021? Number one, yes, I do think if we're going to compare 2021 to 2020, I do see an influx of foreclosures. Does that mean, for those of you out there that have been socking away cash, saying, all right, when the next crash happens, I'm going to go buy 3 houses? That's not 2021. All right. We are seeing prices go escalating and escalating and escalating to where we are looking at one of the best years in our country, real estate wise, and barring, as of today, that's what we look at. So foreclosures are going to go for market value. So, that whole idea of finding a house at, hey, Brad, call me and find me that banging deal. Folks, that banging deal is very hard to come by these days. All right. Almost impossible. So if you know anybody that was furloughed or lost their job and it's coming, we met with somebody just a couple of weeks ago that they want to sell their house before they have to sell their house. They don't want to make a emotional decision. They want to sell their house now so that if things keep on going the way they're going, to where they're not have to make an emotional sell. All right. A desperation sell, maybe one would say. So if you know anybody that is in that position, tell them, hey, I know this guy. I trust this guy. This guy has lived in the same town as me for 42 years. All right. So tell them to give me a call. I will give them a honest, no obligation market analysis of where their house is, a net sheet that says, okay, you owe X amount of dollars. We can sell your house for X amount of dollars, we think. And here's the fees that involve selling your house. Here's what you're going to walk away with. All right. But whatever you do not wait to the very last second, go into foreclosure and lose all that equity. Right. Last year, we helped a family. They were 9 days away from losing the house. I called up the bank, begged the bank, stop the process. I can have everybody's cash in hand in 45 days. Just let me do my job. that family walked away with $80,000, folks. They were 9 days away from losing $80,000. So don't be that person. And it comes into pride. Nobody wants to make that phone call. Nobody wants to call Brad and say, Brad, I haven't made my house payment in 6 months. You don't want to make that phone call. I'm telling you to do it. All right. I'm here to help you. You can trust us. So if you or somebody you know is might be getting to that situation, just tell them to give us a call. If not, if you're the one that's had a really good 2020 and you're socking away cash and you're like, Brad, find me that basement bottom deal and I'm ready to pay cash for it. Not this year. All right. I don't see that happening this year. Now we can help you go buy a house, but trying to find a really bottom of the market deal, I don't see that happening this year. Just giving y'all my honest truth, folks. I'm Brad Alexander with the Alexander Home Team, here to make your dreams a reality.